Hey, Cal. How are you going today?
What's up, man?
How are you?
Pretty good. Just kind of trying to make it through here, and it's an early wake up call on Saturdays for us, but we're cranking now.
So you should be used to this by now. How long have you been doing this show? The show last time I checked, it was the South Jersey Sports Report, and it started at 8 a.m. So I don't think there's any reason that you should be surprised.
True. Well, I've been adjusting my schedule lately and getting to bed earlier on Friday nights, so I've been a lot more on my A game recently.
There you go. There you go.
So what's happening, man? What do you think about the Birds tomorrow? You confident? You cautiously optimistic?
Did we not have this conversation last week?
Yeah, but I wanted to see if anything changed over the course of a week.
Get Cole to pull the tape and just play it again. That's all you got to do.
Just checking the temperature, man. Just checking the temperature.
Nah, same as last week. No reason. There's no reason to be negative. There's no reason to not be optimistic. This is the game that they've been shooting for, and they're playing at home. So, I'm not thrilled with the 6:40 start time. I understand that's probably a TV base. I'm sure that's a TV based thing to get that West Coast audience, but I'd rather Sunday at 4 o'clock would have been much better, but that's okay. But this is the game they've been shooting for. I think once again everybody's downplaying the Eagles, and they're the underdogs, and obviously during the course of the week they've thrived under that underdog image. So Eagles are going to win the game. Don't worry.
Cole Minnick had the "I told you so" moment after the game last week. He was telling all the Eagles fans, "Relax, it's going to be okay." Sometimes you got to talk them off the ledge a little bit. It's when I guess when you haven't been there on a consistent basis, then there's always the doubt that for whatever reason it's not going to happen. So to flip that around a little bit, then everybody should be real happy, real thrilled, and enjoy the weekend, and they'll find a way to win. Talk with Kevin Minnick, NJ Advanced Media. And Kevin, big game today at the Shoot Down Cancer Classic out there at St. Augustine Prep. We're going to have that on the radio here for our fans. 2 p.m. is Haddonfield versus Wildwood Catholic. Tell us a little bit more about Haddonfield.
Haddonfield's a team right now that I think if you look at any other team in South Jersey as far as the injury bug is concerned, it will not match with what Haddonfield has gone through so far this season. The team does not play a home game in its own gym to begin with because of work being done, refurbishment being done in its gym. So it's playing its quote-unquote home games at Cherry Hill East. So it doesn't have the comforts of playing in that gym, which is a real benefit to the home team because of if you know anything about Haddonfield, you realize that the gym, the floor sits down a little bit into a little bit of it gives you a swimming pool effect. It's kind of small. It's just a big advantage for the home team that they don't have now. And they've suffered some major injuries. In the first month and change of the season. They lost. They most recently lost their leading scorer, Will Bond, to a broken wrist. He suffered that against Audubon earlier this week, so he's done for the season. Another reserve, Lewis Evans, coming off the bench, did a real nice job. He's out 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle injury. They have a couple of kids who haven't even been able to get on the floor because they've been hurt. So, they're kind of the walking wounded. And, Paul Wiedemann has done a nice job with kind of maybe pushing that to the side a little bit and realizing, okay, this is what we got to play with today, and this is what we're going to do. And, they're 11-0. They haven't had a real difficult schedule if you look at the game-by-game breakdowns. And obviously today's game with Wildwood Catholic will be probably, without a doubt, their toughest game to this point in the season. So, we'll see how they handle the quickness of Caleb Fields, the toughness inside of Taj Sweet, and whatever else Wildwood Catholic's going to throw at them. But I expect it to be a competitive game. And one thing about a Haddonfield team is they're not going to quit. They're not going to back down. Ultimately they may not win a game, but it won't be from a lack of effort. Kevin,
tell us a little bit more about Eastern. They had a big win last weekend over Atlantic City. What can we expect out of this team? They're 8-4 right now, I believe. So kind of hanging with the rest of those teams in that Cherry Hill area.
Yeah, Eastern's a team that got back a transfer in Matt Cotton. Here's a kid who grew up in Voorhees. Played basketball with all these guys on the team, and spent his first 2 years of high school at the Academy of New Church in Pennsylvania, and played last season and really started to make a name for himself at St. Benedict's up in North Jersey. And he wanted to come back this season and play with his friends and come back home and experience his senior year with his family, with his friends. And he had to sit the first 30 days, which amounted to 10 games. 10 games for Eastern, and he made his season debut against Cherokee, came out and scored 26 points. And, here's a kid who's going to go to Yale, who really had an awful lot of major Division I offers that, he wants to be an engineer. So real nice basketball player, about 6'5", can shoot the three, can attack the basket, and, kind of gives Eastern really someone that they can lean on. It kind of was difficult in that first game when he came back. They were all kind of looking around a little bit at each other and really trying to, I guess, get a sense of who wanted to be the leader and who's going to take shots. And, I think, that time is going to be over with real soon. And, they're a basketball team that will take on CBA today. And that's a nice test for them, an out-of-conference test. And we'll kind of see what Eastern's made about.
We're talking with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. And, Kevin, talk a little bit about Camden Catholic. This is a team that Atlantic City handled pretty well at the Seagull Classic, but they got some really nice pieces, some pretty good players. Is this a team that could go on a run here as we enter into late January?
Yeah, they're sitting at 8-3 right now. They've got 3 tough losses. They've lost to Atlantic City, Camden, and Shawnee, all teams in the top 20 in the state. So, nothing to be ashamed about there. But they've been all relatively close games too. I guess the AC game was a little bit of a blowout, if you want to say 12 points with a Camden Catholic team. But they're a team that is coming along, and by the end of the season, I think this you're looking at a team that's gonna win 20 games again, and gonna get into the playoffs and maybe win a couple games. We know how much of a bear that the non-public A is, throughout the state, and in South Jersey they'll run up against some really tough teams. Bishop Eustace is an A, and obviously St. Augustine is an A. So it'll be a little bit of a difficult run for them, but they're a team that year in and year out, always competitive, always is ready to play a basketball game. And Matt Crawford's done a real nice job in the couple of years he's been there, and they've got a couple of real solid inside players in Babatunde Ajiki and Uchi Okafor, and then Dom Dunn is kind of an inside-outside guy. Likes to shoot the three, but he's got the size to, at about 6'4" or so to kind of go inside when he has to. So I think, Camden Catholic's a team to keep an eye on. They'll have some tough games ahead of themselves. They'll have Bishop Eustace, I believe, coming up this week, for the second time, a team they knocked off by 3 points the first game. And obviously they have to play Camden again. So, they're a team that, you can never count out. That's a team that maybe come tournament time may pull off an upset. But, right now, Matt Crawford has done a real nice job. And, they're going to be a team, like I said, I think that by the time the regular season's over, they're going to be close to 20 wins, or right around that area.
Kevin, how about a team like Camden? They've had their hearts broken so many years in a row now. What's the feel you get from this team? Obviously, they're off to a great start again, and should be a contender in South Jersey too. What kind of feel do you get about this team? Can they get over the hump this year and kind of exercise some of the demons of the last couple of years?
We've talked about Camden now for the past 4 years, and this year, throw it right back at them. This is a team that is more than capable of reaching a Group 2 state final. And, the last 4 years, obviously, have been extremely disappointing. I saw all 4 games, and I was in the locker room all 4 times, and it was dismal, especially the last 2 seasons in the way that they lost those state final games. And, this year's team is it's still a work in progress. They're still not fully there yet. They're a team that's still, they just got back some transfers in this past week, especially Lance Ware, who comes in from Life Center. Big kid, I believe he's around 6'9", 6'10". Will give them a real major inside presence, and they're still working on getting the transfer from Nigeria, 7'2" kid eligible. So they're a team that is when you look at the big picture, they're not complete yet. And it seems as though over the last couple of weeks, piece by piece, it's starting to come together. They've got a major task ahead of themselves today when they play Westtown, a school out of Pennsylvania, with a Duke commit and Cam Reddish, one of the top players in the country. This team was played at the Hoop Hall earlier in the week up in Springfield, Massachusetts, against IMG. They're a team that plays at a national level, and they're very, very good. So, I think Camden will maybe we'll kind of figure out a little bit more today of exactly where they're at. Now, they may not win the game, but, if they can stay competitive and not get blown out and, find pieces during the course of a game that they can put in the back of their memory, to help them later on down the stretch of this season in South Jersey, they're going to be a tremendously tough opponent when, mid-February to the end of February and into March comes around. But like I said, Camden right now, the pieces are there. Let's just put it that way. I think the pieces are there. I don't think we've seen what this team is really capable of doing quite yet.
We're talking with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. And Kevin, real quick before we let you go, you started this new gig a few weeks ago. How's it going for you, and what kind of things have you had to learn on the fly here? Obviously, you're part of a statewide team now covering high school basketball, and you kind of got to keep your eye on everything that's going on throughout the state. So I'm sure it's a lot to handle.
Yeah, it's not easy. I'll give you that. It's not anything that I can't handle, but I'll say it's not. It's a lot, and because everything is done on a statewide basis, you kind of, while I am focusing the majority of my attention on what's going on down in South Jersey here, I still kind of have to keep an eye on what's going on up north as well. And working with Rich Greco and Mike Kinney, they kind of are handling the north and like kind of letting me leave me, so to speak, alone to take care of the South. But, we work as a collective team, and we do a lot of things together. People check out the website on a daily basis. There's tons in there. There's just a ton of information. Right now we got some polls going on, who the top senior forwards and guards are in the state. People should take a look at that and other things that we do on a daily basis with schedules and game coverages, and then, things along the lines of rankings and top players in conferences. And also it's a daunting task, so to speak, but when you enjoy what you're doing and you have the passion, like we've talked about in the past, to do a good job and to bring this information to the people, it may be time consuming, but in the end it's well worth it. So like I said, right now I think we're heading into the end of our third week. We pretty much got the computer system down for the most part, which was really the toughest part of the whole entire process, because it was a completely new system to me, and there's a lot of things that go into it to make sure that those polls and the daily things get up when they're supposed to get up, online. So I'm very fortunate that I've been given this opportunity, and I'm gonna make the most of it. So it's been great so far. I hope it's going to continue to be so, and we're going to get out there and give the people hopefully what they're looking for.
Yeah, because you got to kind of dive into like the Shore Conference and Mercer County and stuff like that. I mean, people down here at the Shore, the South Shore, they think Toms River is North Jersey, but when you look at a statewide level, that's still South Jersey.
Yeah, I really don't have to worry about the Shore Conference, so to speak, but there's some quality basketball teams out in that area. There always is, and then obviously you go throughout the state and you look at, especially up in North Jersey, there's just so many more schools and so many more kids, and the population is so much more dense that you get top quality kids. You know, there's 3 kids from North Jersey that are going to be playing in the McDonald's All-American game. So,
wow.
You know, so they're, you know, that's a statement right there that not only for, you know, North Jersey basketball, but for the state as well, that, you know, there's some pretty good basketball being played around here. And when it comes down to it, you know, I'm the voice of South Jersey, so I'm going to kind of represent the South and make sure that the, you know, the kids down in this part of the state get their recognition as well.
Awesome. Great stuff as always, Kevin. We'll catch up with you next week. There'll be a lot more basketball to talk about over the next few weeks. So we'll dive into as much as we can here for a few minutes every Saturday morning. We appreciate your time, bud.
Absolutely, and you know, again, that Shoot Down Cancer Classic at St. Augustine's a big deal this weekend. People should, if they're looking for a game to go to and really a better cause to be a part of, that's the place to be. Awesome, great stuff, Kev. We appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend. All right, you have a good weekend too. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, man. That was Kevin Minnick of NJ Advanced Media. Check out all his stuff at NJ.com.